Satang Prasanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. I pray that all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to the new letter. It's a very auspicious time actually as we're approaching Balaram Purnima on Monday. So everybody is excited and there's a nice build-up in the atmosphere of auspiciousness for this special day. Even right now, Julan Yatra is going on. Lots of nice auspicious. It's the most festive time of the year. So we're moving on to the third letter. So it's a letter to Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, April 26th, 1969. And it's from Alston. So Prabhupada is writing to her 8 days later. And is encouraging her and her family to actually move to Germany, to Hamburg, to assist with the temple in the center there. So I was just appreciating so much because this Mataji has a young child, Muradwaja Prabhu, Muradwaja, and this little boy who just got sick. So Prabhupada was commenting on that in the letter. It's quite a long letter, so I've taken out the essence of it. And Prabhupada was encouraging this couple to go to Germany to help in the preaching there. So it's interesting that this letter was written in April, and Prabhupada is saying in July you should go to Hamburg. So just 2.5 months later, Prabhupada is expecting this whole family to move to a new country, Germany, and help with the program there. So, just imagine the sacrifice these devotees are experiencing. So you can only sacrifice like this if there is love. What a deep love and connection they had for Prabhupada. So I sift through the letter, and like I said, because it's so long, we try to keep it concise. So I pulled out some really good gems here. It goes as follows. Prabhupada writes in this letter, after offering his blessings to the devotee, he says, "It is Krishna's desire that we should meet together and cooperate for the cause of Krishna consciousness movement, which is so badly needed throughout the world." It is Krishna's desire that we cooperate. I found that very profound. That Krishna actually wants something from us. After giving us so much, he's asking for the most difficult thing. The most difficult thing to do is to cooperate. But that's what he's asking for. Why? Because it genuinely shows our love to him. That if we can cooperate, you'll only do that if you have love. There's no other reason why we would cooperate. So we would only cooperate if we have love for Krishna, love for Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is saying, it's Krishna's desire that we cooperate. You and your husband are quite competent to take up this responsibility, and your little child, Muradwaj, is a great hope for our future activities. He is a fortunate boy to have such a nice father and mother, and if you can raise him properly for this purpose, you shall all be benefited from the spiritual standpoint. So we see in Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna is describing, where are all these small children coming from? These devotee children that are now being born. So Krishna describes, Prapya punyam kritam lokam ushitva shashvati sama suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto vijayate. That the unsuccessful yogi then takes birth on this planet, Arjun, and he takes birth in two families, Shrimatan and Suchinam. Suchinam is Brahmin families, Suchi means clean, so Brahmanical families, and Shrimatan, wealthy families. So why these two? Because Brahmanical families, he'll naturally become devotee, and Srimatan because of wealth. Shri means Lakshmi Devi or wealth. So we've been born in wealthy families. Why? Because they'll get frustrated with their wealth. And by that frustration, then they'll start then looking for something higher. So these little children that are born now are not ordinary. Prabhupada would say they're not ordinary. And he's saying that they have their contribution for our society in the future. And what a sacrifice this is. This young mother just has a young child and now is moving to another country to help in that center, to manage that center, And she's a young mother. What a level of sacrifice this is. I just would like us to appreciate what Srila Prabhupada disciples sacrificed for the benefit of ISKCON in the long term and what we are enjoying today. It's a really great sacrifice, and from the depths of our heart we would like to appreciate all of them for that great sacrifice in those days. Prabhupada then brings up another point. He says here, remember her name is Vrindavaneshwari. So Prabhupada says here, by the grace of Srimati Radharani, you are already inclined to Krishna consciousness. Wow. So it's by Radharani's grace that by her blessing, now you have got regular engagement to continue this consciousness to perfection. So Prabhupada is saying you already got the mercy now to engage in Krishna consciousness. Now make it your goal. Now make it your objective to achieve it. So much auspiciousness is going on for you. Now you have to achieve it. Now you have to reach that goal and perfect your life. He then goes on to say, I understand that Krishna has helped you with some source of income. This is very nice encouragement for what we're going through now with the coronavirus. For those who are feeling insecure about their jobs and financial situation, Prabhupada says here, all the money we require is simply to meet our necessities, and we do not require any more for the purpose of sense gratification. But for our necessities, we can always know that Krishna will help us with all facilities. Wow, that is so comforting. That is so relaxing and comforting that those words came out of Prabhupada, that Krishna will. We know it philosophically, but when we hear it coming from Prabhupada, it has a different impact, doesn't it? We just become so, yes, okay, Krishna is there. We become relieved actually that Krishna is there. Another important point he makes here. You have inquired about how we leave our body and enter into the spiritual sky. Many family and relatives were passing on in this time. So how can we help them and how can we understand what's going on? So this devotee had asked Prabhupada about what happens on our journey back to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada quotes here, this information is very nicely explained in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter. The idea is that the universe is just like a coconut fruit, and exactly like the coconut fruit, there is coverings of several layers. Each layer is said to be 10 times more than the other. So when a living entity is eligible and fully prepared to enter into the spiritual sky, he merges the different bodily elements, which are called earth, fire, water, air, and ether, into those covering layers. These bodily elements return, and the living entity goes back to the spiritual sky. So each of these elements that our bodies are made of merges back into the elements of nature. And then we eventually, if you return all those elements, just like we're returning this bodily suit. So when we return all these elements, then what is left is just the spirit soul. And thus the spirit soul in its pure state, pure form, goes back to the spiritual world. So very detailed description given. You can read more about it in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter. But then Prabhupada says here, pure devotees do not desire to enter into any one of the higher planetary systems of this universe. Sometimes mystic yogis are interested to see higher planetary systems, and before entering into the spiritual sky, they take advantage of seeing the higher planetary systems. So they go for a picnic. The mystic yogis, they want to see, hey, what's this whole world? What was this whole universe about? I stayed here for so long in this samsara birth, and how many births and deaths I took here. What was this place about? So he just starts to explore. So Prabhupada is saying, don't do that. Don't do that, because in a moment Maya can catch us and pull us back in some way or the other. So we were describing the other day how Bharat Maharaj got caught by compassion for a deer. So not by any of the vices or any of the anarthas, but by compassion. So Prabhupada is saying, pure devotees, they don't play around. They just want to go straight back to Krishna. So he says here, but a pure devotee is so much eager to enter back into the spiritual sky, especially devotees of Krishna. So they do not try even to enter into the Vaikuntha lokas. Everything depends on the intense desire of the living entity. What is your desire? You can go to all these places, but we want bhakti. Satatam kirtayanto mam yedantasya drita vrata namasham chasnamam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Krishna is saying, but my devotees, those who are Mahatmas, great devotees, they take shelter of the Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakriti ashrita. They take shelter of the divine energy. And how do they do that? Next verse. Satatam kirtayanto mam. They doing always my kirtan. But how? Yetantasya dhrita vrata. With great determination. Why does it need determination to do kirtan? You just need skill, musical skill. No, you need determination. It requires determination not to be distracted. Prabhupada goes on to say, and Krishna gives all facility for fulfilling such desires. And Krishna says, you want that? Okay. You want to love me in a pure, selfless way? Yes. He gives all facility. And Prabhupada says here, so far as we are concerned, we should always be very much eager to directly contact Krishna. See, don't be distracted by going on a picnic. Just stay on the path of the Mahajans, the great devotees, and we will go back to Godhead. Very encouraging. Following the footprints of Lord Chaitanya, see? Following their footprints. They showed us the way now. Don't be distracted this side and this side, because that will give a different result. Prabhupada says here at the end, and as you are Vrindavaneshwari, you should always pray to Srimati Radharani to engage yourself in her service. Wow! We should always pray to Srimati Radharani, Vrindavaneshwari. So Prabhupada is playing on those words, but it's in fact that everything we want in devotional service, we have to pray to Srimati Radharani for it. That will be the fulfillment of your life. Oh, wow. Wow, that's incredible. Prabhupada is saying this will be the fulfillment of your life. This is such encouraging, huh? I hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So I hope you enjoyed today's letter. I certainly got a lot of strength from today's letter, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.